Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with another Total War Warhammer video. Today we're going to continue with our mod series, and we haven't really touched upon the High Elves too much, so this is the perfect time. Especially seeing as Cataph has a mod on the High Elf Sea Patrol, a rather small army list from the days of Warhammer Fantasy Battles. This was by no means a competitive army, but it was a fun way to play High Elves in a different sense. And in this mod, you can take control of various pseudo-hordes, just like those of the Vampire Coast, and sail across the oceans to attack any who might be of threat to you. Please bear in mind that this mod itself isn't very big, but then again, it's not because of the modder, it's actually because the Sea Patrol itself was fairly small. And most of the assets themselves revolving around any units added in do not reference real models from the tabletop in most cases, barring obviously the usual reskins, as the Sea Patrol itself had no official models. This was one of those reskin armies when GW was having a bit of a lazy day. But with that, let's go check out the mod, and as usual, to better showcase anything of interest with the mod, we'll be starting off a new campaign in easy mode and easy battles. Your campaigns will start off as normal. Everything upon startup will more or less look like an average High Elf playthrough, and you'll still have access to your technology, your rights, and all your basic High Elf units without a problem. One thing of note is that you will begin at war with the Dukedom of Lyonesse, and there's also a Marienburg army as your starter enemy. You generally don't have to worry about both, as the Dukedom normally gets destroyed early on, and the Marienburg army, once you deal with them, you won't see them again. More than likely, they'll send you a peace treaty within a few turns. You will start to notice the mod in action, however, as soon as you click on the army provided to you at the start of a campaign. Don't worry, we're going to look at these new units, lords and legendary lords in much greater detail, but we'll do so later in the video. Right now, let's focus on the fact that this legendary lord and all the Sea Helm special lords added through this mod are pseudo Horde Factions. Here you'll be given access to a bunch of unique buildings. They normally follow around recruitment of units, reduction of upkeep, and so on, everything that you can expect from a Horde faction in truth. Also, it is important to note that all the units uniquely added through this mod are only able to be recruited by lords added into this mod, those of the Horde factions. It makes sense personally, and it's almost like playing two separate factions at the same time. As you expand your empire, you get access to different troops, but if you're going to lead an invasion, you may as well do so with a bunch of hordes, especially if you're trying to attack the other continents. But now let's take a look at the legendary lord, Aisling. The character itself has a pretty decent stat line, and is geared for extra movement and ambushes. His skills are mostly focused around the buffing of your troops that are unique to this mod, and if you focus enough on them, well, they can be a quite devastating force, especially since your army is mostly range focus. And one of your standard troops is the Lothern Sea Guard, and we know how powerful they can be by themselves. Now imagine them buffed up with a bunch of extra skills. The character is also fairly durable in close combat, especially after unlocking his special item. A big highlight skill here is also being able to give your army Vanguard, which also gives them Stalk. It's actually quite a good skill, and it's quite devastating. You are able to recruit any of your possible lord options from your Horde factions, but if you're going to recruit a lord, you might as well recruit more Sea Helms, as they are your other hordes. Although the option to focus around archmages, cause, well, are we really going to go for prince or princesses when we have magic options, is actually quite nice. Obviously, the Sea Helms themselves have the same mechanic in regards to using influence to get decent lords. And from what I've seen, just outright buying a Sea Helm without using any influence gives you a lord with -20 to your horde growth. Obviously that's horrible, and you shouldn't really recruit one of these lords unless you really have to. Save up your influence, as the traits for the Sea Helms can be fairly good, and without that -20 to your horde growth, of course. Again, your Sea Helms can have the same buildings as Aisling, minus a few minor changes, but all in all, it's nothing too heavy, so it's not like you're going to be stuck for choice. Stat-wise, the Sea Helms themselves are obviously weaker versions of Aisling, which makes sense. Still, their stat line is fairly decent, nothing too special, but you do have access to a lot of the same skills as Aisling does, which means that your horde in general can be quite powerful. Naturally, it goes without saying, but you do have to be careful. These are hordes, and if you end up losing them, you can lose a lot of your progress. I totally didn't make that mistake myself. Yeah, totally. But now let's take some time to check out the units added in with this mod and check out their stats. I'm going to take the time here also to talk about my final thoughts regarding this mod. As stated before, this mod itself isn't really that large, but it's based on an army list which is very near and dear to my heart. I played this army back in the days of the Storm of Chaos, so it was nice to see it being brought to life in the form of a mod for Total War Warhammer. Especially since, firstly, the models themselves didn't really exist as they were mostly kit bashers, so it was great to see Cataph having some artistic inspiration here. The mod itself plays extremely well. The characters and units look and feel great, and having a different form of campaign gameplay style in the form of these pseudo-hordes is absolutely fantastic. Being able to build up fleets and launch invasions wherever you wish is great, especially since, yeah, we're lacking naval combat. It's unlikely that we'll see minor factions such as these being fleshed out in the Total War Warhammer universe, so modders such as Cataph are bringing some obscure armies to life with these types of mods. It's absolutely phenomenal, I can't stress that enough. My only real complaint with the High Elf Sea Patrol is the -20 horde growth for the generic Sea Helms. I think it's a tad too punishing, and is most likely to keep players away from early horde armies until they can build up their influence. It's very possible this is what was intended, but I'd say maybe just get rid of that and possibly either have a -5 horde growth at the very most, or just get rid of it entirely. Just a generic lord with nothing special about it in terms of traits, where if you want to have some special traits you'll have to spend influence. Other than that, everything else plays extremely well. Being able to have basically 2 factions whilst playing as one is a rather interesting form of game style. You not only have access to the standard high elf units, but also these new horde units too. In all honesty, and just deviating for a moment here, this is kinda something I'd like to see done for Norska. Think about it, you'd have your basic Norscan warriors, but then also have specialized hordes which you can use to launch invasions to far across continents. You may have noticed that we had switched to a different scene, where 19 nymph units took on an army of over 3,000 zombies. I wanted to show this as I found it hilarious. I generally only use zombies when it's the case of showing off units, and it was rather interesting to see the nymphs absolutely decimate them. Don't worry, it's not an overpowered unit or anything. In fact, I used this same loadout against multiple different forces, and it wasn't as successful as it was against zombies. I'm assuming it's because of the fact that zombies themselves have low leadership, and I believe that any attacks which are more or less causing disruption among ranks have a chance to reduce leadership. It took about a minute and a half of combat to see these 19 nymphs destroy 3,000 zombies. I found it funny, but imagine my disappointment when it couldn't do the same to, say for example, Chaos Warriors or Chaos Chosen. But with all that being said, if you're interested in checking out the mod, you can find it in the description below. As I said, this mod is not really something too large, but it is very high quality, and it is what you can expect from Cataph. And if you guys have any suggestions for other mods that you would like to see highlighted on this channel, perhaps one of your favorite modders has released something recently or so on, please don't hesitate to leave a comment below or join our official Discord where I'm much more accessible. But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below are various links to different social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram and Discord. Also in the description section is an affiliate link with Element Games where you could buy loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Making a purchase using that link and also our special code, which is also in the description, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons. Your support means the world to us. It's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A big thank you to Gibraltar LUSC, Ryan Bertsche, Andrew Prince, and Okro for subscribing to us at our fame level. You guys are super cool. And a big thank you to Edward Yule, VS Vasan, Aaron Whitman, and Shaggy for subscribing to us at our king level. Honestly, we can't thank you all enough. And lastly, a big thank you to all of you for liking, sharing, and commenting on these videos. Honestly, it's because of you guys that the channel's been growing at such a great pace lately, so we can't thank you all enough. But with that, my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.